What's up, everyone? It's Kubwanana, and today we're diving into a crypto mystery you've all been asking about, Pi Network. With tens of millions of users mining Pi on their phones, you'd expect it to be everywhere. Yet it's missing from the world's biggest crypto exchange, Binance. Why isn't this wildly popular coin listed? It seems like a paradox. A massive community, but no major exchange listing. The answer goes way deeper than hype or numbers. Today, we'll break down the 3 core reasons Pi Network isn't on Binance: regulatory uncertainty, its enclosed mainnet, and big questions about its tokenomics. By the end, you'll see the real challenges Pi faces on its road to the mainstream. Let's get into it. First up, regulatory uncertainty, the ever-shifting landscape of rules and guidelines that govern the crypto world. It's a complex web that every project, especially those seeking mainstream adoption, must navigate carefully. A huge roadblock, a significant barrier to entry for any cryptocurrency hoping to be listed on a major exchange. In crypto, regulations are the rules of the game, the framework within which innovation must operate. And for global exchanges like Binance, compliance is non-negotiable. It's the bedrock of their operations, ensuring they can continue to serve users worldwide. Binance has to answer to regulators worldwide, a complex and demanding task that requires constant vigilance and adaptation, especially heavyweights like the SEC. The Securities and Exchange Commission holds significant sway, and its decisions can have far-reaching consequences. So, what exactly is Pi Coin? What is its purpose, and how does it fit into the broader crypto ecosystem? Is it a utility token for an ecosystem, designed to provide specific benefits and functionalities within a defined network? Or a security that could trigger strict legal scrutiny? This distinction is crucial, as securities are subject to a much higher level of regulatory oversight. If Pi is seen as a security, it faces a mountain of legal hurdles, a complex and potentially expensive process to ensure compliance. The Pi Core team calls it a currency for everyday people, a digital asset designed for ease of use and accessibility. But the way it's distributed, mined for free with hopes of future value, could look like an unregistered securities offering to regulators. This is a critical point that could determine Pi's fate in the eyes of the law. That's a massive red flag for Binance, a significant cause for concern that cannot be ignored. They've already faced fines, bans, and intense scrutiny in multiple countries. Binance has learned from experience the importance of rigorous compliance. Listing a token with unclear legal status is a risk they simply can't take. The potential consequences are far too severe. Pi's unique mobile mining model only adds to the legal gray area. It introduces novel questions that regulators may not have addressed before. Binance needs to see robust KYC and AML processes. Know your customer and anti-money laundering protocols are essential to prevent illicit activities. And while Pi has KYC, its effectiveness at scale is unproven. The ability to verify the identities of millions of users is a significant challenge. Any weakness here could open the door to illicit activity. Another deal breaker, a non-negotiable requirement for any legitimate cryptocurrency. The Pi team hasn't published a detailed legal opinion or regulatory framework, which is standard for projects seeking major listings. This documentation provides clarity and reassurance to exchanges. Without this, Binance's legal team is flying blind. They lack the information needed to make an informed decision. The Ripple XRP lawsuit is a cautionary tale, years of legal battles, a protracted and expensive fight with regulators, delistings and massive costs, a stark reminder of the risks involved in non-compliance. Exchanges learned when in doubt, stay out. It's a simple but effective rule that protects exchanges and their users. Pi's unconventional model raises even more questions. Is mobile mining real work or just a distribution trick? Is it a legitimate way to earn cryptocurrency or simply a marketing gimmick? How will Pi's value be set if it ever hits the open market? What mechanisms will be in place to ensure fair and transparent price discovery? Until the Pi Core team provides clear, legally sound answers, the regulatory risk is just too high. It outweighs any potential benefits for Binance. Binance is in the business of managing risk, not gambling with it. They make calculated decisions based on thorough analysis and due diligence. The lack of regulatory clarity is a non-starter. It's a fundamental requirement that must be met before any further consideration can be given. Could Pi fix this? Sure, by working with legal experts, engaging regulators, and publishing transparent documentation. These are the necessary steps to address the regulatory concerns, but so far, that hasn't happened publicly. The Pi Core team has remained largely silent on these critical issues. In crypto, what isn't public might as well not exist. Transparency is paramount in building trust and credibility. Transparency builds trust, not just with users, but with exchanges. Exchanges need to be confident in the legitimacy and compliance of a project. The silence on the regulatory front is deafening. It speaks volumes about the current state of affairs. For Binance, the legal wall is the first and biggest barrier. It's a hurdle that must be cleared before any further progress can be made. Any project wanting a major listing needs a regulatory passport, a clear demonstration of compliance with all applicable laws and regulations. Without it, the doors to Binance stay closed, no matter how big the community. Community size alone is not enough to overcome regulatory hurdles, and that leads us to the next major hurdle: Pi's technical structure. The underlying technology that powers the Pi network. The way Pi's mainnet is set up makes a listing not just risky, but technically impossible right now. The current architecture presents significant challenges for integration with exchanges. Let's break down why the enclosed mainnet is a deal-breaker for exchanges. We'll explore the technical limitations and security concerns that make it incompatible with exchange requirements. So, what's keeping Pi off Binance? We've already touched on community concerns, but there's another significant hurdle. It's the enclosed mainnet. The Pi blockchain is indeed live and operational, but it's currently walled off, intentionally isolated from the broader cryptocurrency ecosystem. Imagine a city, vibrant and bustling within its walls, but with no roads connecting it to the outside world. Users can freely trade Pi within this enclosed environment, but they can't transfer it to external wallets or deposit it on other exchanges. For a major exchange like Binance, this presents a fundamental problem. Exchanges need the ability to create dedicated wallets for each listed cryptocurrency, securely accept deposits from users, and efficiently process withdrawals when users want to move their funds. With Pi's current firewall in place, these essential functions are simply impossible to execute. So the question arises, why did the Pi Core team choose to implement this enclosed mainnet approach? Their stated rationale is to allow the Pi ecosystem to mature and develop organically before exposing it to the potentially destabilizing forces of open market speculation and volatility. The overarching goal is to foster genuine utility and real-world applications for Pi, rather than simply relying on hype and speculative trading. However, this strategy inevitably creates a classic chicken-and-egg dilemma. Without open access to external markets, there's a significant lack of liquidity, and without sufficient liquidity, it becomes exceedingly difficult to build and scale real-world utility and drive widespread adoption. While some smaller, less reputable exchanges may claim to offer Pi trading, it's crucial to understand that these are typically just IOUs or speculative futures contracts, not actual Pi coins that can be deposited or withdrawn. Binance, known for its stringent risk management practices, understandably avoids listing these types of risky and unreliable instruments. The duration of the enclosed mainnet has been extended, and there's currently no concrete timeline for when it will be lifted. In the fast-paced world of crypto, prolonged delays without clear deadlines can significantly erode confidence and negatively impact market sentiment. Major exchanges like Binance require predictability, transparency, and a well-defined technical roadmap before considering a listing. A vague statement like, "We'll open the mainnet when we're ready," simply doesn't meet the rigorous requirements for a major exchange listing. Furthermore, the enclosed mainnet inherently prevents genuine price discovery. In the absence of open trading, Pi's current value remains largely theoretical and speculative. There's no reliable market-driven price, no established liquidity, and no historical trading data to analyze. Listing a coin without a well-defined and established price would inevitably lead to chaos, resulting in extreme volatility, potential pump-and-dump schemes, and significant financial risks for unsuspecting users. Binance, with its unwavering commitment to user protection, has a fundamental duty to shield its users from such potentially harmful scenarios. Market makers and liquidity providers, essential for maintaining stable and efficient trading environments, simply cannot effectively operate if they are unable to freely move Pi in and out of the exchange to manage their positions. The firewall effectively blocks access to the entire professional trading infrastructure that relies on seamless asset transfer. So, while the Pi Core team's phased approach and enclosed mainnet might align with their long-term vision for the project, It's fundamentally incompatible with the operational requirements and risk management protocols of major cryptocurrency exchanges. The very mechanism designed to protect and nurture Pi's ecosystem in its early stages is paradoxically the same factor preventing its integration into the world's largest and most liquid cryptocurrency markets. Until the Pi mainnet is fully opened and external transactions are permitted, Binance simply cannot even begin to seriously consider a listing. This isn't a matter of risk tolerance or market appetite. It's a fundamental issue of technical feasibility and operational practicality. You simply cannot list an asset on an exchange if users are unable to deposit or withdraw it. Ultimately, the decision and the timeline for opening the mainnet rest entirely in the hands of the Pi core team. Until they take that crucial step, Pi will remain locked within its own isolated ecosystem, unable to fully participate in the broader cryptocurrency market. And that brings us to the third, and perhaps the most critical and complex reason for Binance's continued hesitation: the intricacies and uncertainties surrounding Pi's tokenomics. The third major barrier? Pi's tokenomics are, to put it simply, a black box, a complete mystery. Tokenomics is the economic blueprint of a crypto project, the very foundation upon which its value is built. It dictates how much exists, who owns it, providing insights into the distribution of power and influence within the network, how it's distributed amongst the community and the development team, and crucially, how value is sustained over the long term. For Binance, and indeed any reputable exchange, clear, transparent tokenomics are non-negotiable. It's a fundamental requirement for listing a cryptocurrency. With Pi, the total supply isn't fixed, a major deviation from many established cryptocurrencies. Instead, it grows as more users mine, and there's a pre-minted chunk already allocated for the core team. This inherently makes Pi inflationary, meaning its value could decrease over time. The problem is, the rate of inflation is unpredictable and directly tied to the rate of user growth, making it difficult to forecast its long-term economic impact. Binance needs to thoroughly understand an asset's monetary policy before listing it, and Pi's monetary policy is murky at best, lacking the clarity and precision required for a proper assessment. Distribution is another significant red flag. While a substantial portion of the Pi supply is set aside for the core team, the specific details surrounding this allocation are frustratingly vague. How much of the total supply do the founders and early team members actually hold? Is their Pi supply subject to a vesting schedule to prevent a sudden dump of tokens onto the market? Unfortunately, there are no clear answers to these critical questions. A high concentration of tokens among insiders and early participants is almost always a recipe for potential market manipulation and unfair advantages. If the core team, or a small group of insiders, controls a disproportionately huge supply of Pi, they could easily crash the price by selling off a large portion of their holdings shortly after a listing on an exchange. Binance's rigorous due diligence process would immediately flag this as a major and unacceptable risk. Even the mining process itself, which is central to Pi's distribution model, is more accurately described as a distribution gimmick than a genuine form of cryptographic mining that secures a blockchain. Early adopters, who joined the network when mining rewards were significantly higher, now hold massive Pi balances, while new users receive substantially less Pi for their contributions, creating a highly unequal and potentially unsustainable system. This inherent imbalance could lead to massive sell pressure if and when Pi is eventually listed on exchanges, potentially tanking the price and severely hurting those who joined the network later on. Binance prioritizes listing tokens with genuine long-term growth potential and a sustainable economic model, not those that appear to be set up for a day-one crash and burn. Furthermore, the Pi network's white paper is noticeably outdated, and it simply lacks the level of detail and transparency that one would expect from a mature and well-developed crypto project. There's no clearly defined model for how Pi will actually accrue value over time, how the Pi ecosystem will be funded and incentivized, or how the Pi supply will be managed and controlled after the mainnet launch. It's akin to investing in a publicly traded company that refuses to release any financial statements. You're essentially flying blind, with no reliable data to guide your investment decisions. Binance, along with other reputable cryptocurrency exchanges, needs to be able to accurately model supply and demand dynamics to ensure a healthy and sustainable market for any listed token. However, with Pi, there are simply too many unknown variables and unanswered questions. What is the true circulating supply of Pi that is currently available and actively being used? What will happen to the Pi held by users who fail to complete the mandatory KYC verification process? And how exactly will inflation be effectively controlled and managed over the long term? These aren't just minor details or insignificant footnotes. They represent the very foundation upon which a cryptocurrency's value and long-term viability are built. The fact that these fundamental questions remain unanswered after years of development is a huge and deeply concerning red flag. It strongly suggests either that there is no clear and well-defined plan for the future of Pi, or that there is a deliberate choice being made to keep critical information hidden from the public, and neither of those scenarios is acceptable for a cryptocurrency seeking a major exchange listing. Ultimately, tokenomics are the very soul of a cryptocurrency, defining its purpose and driving its value. If that foundation is weak, poorly defined, or deliberately opaque, then the entire project is inherently at risk of failure. Binance's hard-earned reputation and credibility are on the line with every single token listing they approve. Listing Pi in its current state would be an unacceptably massive gamble, exposing its users to the very real risks of inflation and currency devaluation, the dangers of centralization of control, and the ever-present threat of market manipulation and trading abuse. Until the Pi core team finally provides a truly transparent and auditable economic model, backed by clear and comprehensive documentation, the tokenomics of Pi will remain an enigma, and for as long as it remains an enigma shrouded in mystery, Binance will undoubtedly continue to keep its distance, wisely avoiding the inherent risks. Exchanges like Binance need certainty, they need transparency, and they need readily available and verifiable information. Above all, they need a solid and well-articulated plan for long-term sustainability and growth. Without all of those essential elements in place, the risk associated with listing Pi is simply far too high to justify. So, those are the three core reasons you can't trade Pi on Binance. Regulatory uncertainty, the enclosed mainnet, and unclear tokenomics. These are fundamental barriers, not minor issues. Pi's massive community is impressive, but until the core team solves these challenges, a Binance listing is out of reach. What do you think? Can Pi overcome these hurdles? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit like and subscribe for more crypto analysis that cuts through the hype. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.